told our bass player, how are you going to fit all those people under here? That's not going to happen. And sure enough, everyone fit under there, and we had everyone just super close to us. There's a guy that just said hi in a moving vehicle. What a nice guy. Today we're in West Glacier, Montana, at the national park. We're having a day off. That's one of the things we get to have every now and then, is a day off. And usually everyone in the band is itching for some adventure.
Being able to go through Glacier National Park, always a highlight. Just being able to see wonderful nature like that.
And on the way to West Glacier, we stopped at a place called Flathead Lake,
which is just south of Glacier National Park.
It's this beautiful lake, super clear, really blue water.
You could see your feet like completely, and then you'd swim out a little bit further and the top would be warm, and then you'd sink down and it'd be freezing and it kind of take your breath away, and then you'd like swim back up to the top to get warm again.
And Trey had this idea that he wanted to do a synchronized swim dance for you guys watching. It felt really ridiculous, and I hope that you're having a fun time watching this.
There's some really cool people who live in cool places, and we get to explore. So we're checking out the scenery, checking out the rivers and the lakes, some of the melt of the glaciers. It's kind of like life on the road, where you don't really know where you're gonna go, and you walk and you stumble upon the clearest lake you've ever been in. And it's kind of like that when you travel with your friends. Sometimes you find yourself in like really deep conversations and you're like, man, this is really cool. Like, I like these people. Or like you find yourself in the deep water of a lake like yesterday, and yeah.
It was a pretty just great time to get out in nature, and I think that's where I really see God and I get to see his creation. And I think that's a very important part to me about tour, and just seeing the beauty that God has made and us kind of living into that.
And yeah, but being able to explore the areas, even just briefly, is very rewarding.
Okay. Wait, the falling in or the falling off the cliff?
Both.
Okay. So I was not having a coordinated day at the national park, clearly. So we were sitting on the side of the river, people were jumping in and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm about ready to jump in, I just need to go change. I'm holding on to, like, KP's on the rock here, and I'm, like, having to squeeze between the river and this, like, really slippery rock. I'm like, okay, I can squeeze by there and get up to land again. It was way slipperier than I thought, and I felt myself slipping. I'm like, nope, and just leaned back into it and fell in, fully clothed, hat and all.
What's the lesson takeaway from that experience?
Listen to your gut. If somebody's like, if you don't feel like you can, if you're up for it, don't. It's not worth it. I think probably my favorite show experience in Montana was probably at the KOA.
And essentially there was a host, our friend David, he's been following us for a while, and he saw that we're looking for Montana dates, and he said, well, I'm from Texas, but I'm going to be at this campground in West Glacier.
For a bunch of campers who were doing like a family reunion.
And I think it was a very cool time just to see the people that were watching and knowing a bit of their story, and that they'd come to this campground for a family reunion, and there are also a bunch of other people who had been staying at the campground who came to the show.
So we get to the KOA campground, and we were super lucky to be there. We got treated like royalty, honestly. They're very, very sweet folks there that run that place. And our friend at KOA and our friend David, who's been following us for a while, they decided to join forces to raise enough funds to help us get there. And ended up being this really big show. There was like 200 people out there. We set up our whole sound system, and we were putting on our first set. We had full sound.
We played our first show with sound, and that was really fun. And I got to open up the show with some of my own music, and that's one of my positions with the Riverside.
And we took a 10-minute break, and we were doing some merch some merch sales and meeting people and selling our shirts and selling our vinyl records and CDs.
So like halfway through our set, it started to like rain a little bit. We felt like 2 drops of rain.
The thunderstorm that was rolling in super hard behind us, and we had all our gear out with no protection, no rain coverage, so we decided to pack it up real fast.
And it was like, no, we've learned a lesson here.
We gotta pack up because we don't want rain to get on our instruments and our gear, but if you are all interested in sticking around, we're gonna put on an acoustic show under that covered area over there.
But they were kind of closing up for the night, so we moved everybody into this little cafe and just played like an all acoustic set for them. And that was pretty fun. I actually thought that was more fun than playing on the sound system.
And so we ended up packing up all the gear really fast, and a lot of the crowd actually helped us take gear to our van, which was super awesome. I think it was our fastest cleanup we've ever done. And a lot of people started to stick around. They actually filled up that whole entire area with people. I think one of the chefs, under his breath, told our bass player, "How are you gonna fit all those people under here? That's not gonna happen." And sure enough, everyone fit under there, and we had everyone just super close to us. We had no microphones, no amplification, just us and our instruments and the crowd. And they were so respectful. They gave us we played another 45-minute set where we just sung, just bare bones, and played our instruments.
And I think when we did that, we really got to see what people thought about our music and our playing.
And we got to tell stories, which we love to do. We get to talk about the songs. Sometimes it doesn't always happen when you're on the road, especially as you're growing as a band. You're playing a lot of times where you're just background music. And over the years, we're at a stage where we're lucky enough to play for people who are just wanting to listen. And it was such an honor to play for an intensely listening crowd. And we got to share our stories and what the songs meant.
That definitely enhanced our enjoyment of that night, I think, because when somebody seems like they really want to listen is, I think, when we really want to give them a good show and to share our story and even sometimes listen to some of theirs, hear their questions. And I find that a very important experience about touring, and it's been the case about every show in Montana so far.
Everyone after the show were coming up to us and they were shaking our hands, and they were just telling them how much it meant to them, that they got to be part of such an intimate performance. And that's always really, really nice to hear, that our music is having an impact on people and it's causing them to think and to feel something. And I think that's why everyone in our band loves doing this, is that we're there with them in the moment, and we get to share a little bit of our story with them. And I'd like to think that we're making a difference, and we're bringing some hope in people's lives who just needed that night of music. And thanks be to God that we get to do that for our living, and that He provides for us while we're on the road. Hey, you've been watching the Riverside's tour vlog for 2022, and we hope you enjoyed your time on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and we'll see you at the next episode.